As I walked into the grocery store the other evening, I saw pink and red balloons all around the entrance, and I thought to myself, wow, is it Valentine's Day already? Of course, as I took a moment to wade through the chaos of the week to figure out where I was in the space-time continuum, I realized these balloons weren't for Valentine's Day. It is in fact no longer February. These were for Mother's Day, which is this very weekend. Mother's Day is a time when we celebrate our moms, however we came to them. We bring them breakfast in bed, we make them cards and buy them flowers, we call them to say that we love them, and we make their favorite meal for dinner. We do all of these things and more as a token of our love and as a sign of gratitude for all that they have given us. How fitting that in this week's Torah portion we read the following verse. Ish imo ve'aviv tira'u ve'et shabdotai tishmoru ani Adonai Elohechem. Your mother and your father you shall revere, and my Sabbaths you shall keep. I, Adonai, am your God. The word tira'u, which we have translated as you shall revere, comes from the root yud resh aleph, yara, meaning fear or awe. Whether from personal experience or from encountering those we love become parents, we know that motherhood is not made for the faint of heart. It is an experience often filled with all-consuming fear and awe. Awe as one sees how much their child has grown since last year, last month, last week, even yesterday. Awe that they are still somehow going, still doing their best, still sustaining the life of another human. Fear as a child's temperature runs a bit higher than one would like. Fear as our child runs toward the street before we can catch their hand. Fear as our world becomes a harder place for them. In return for the fear and awe that our mothers have for us, Leviticus chapter 19 verse 3 tells us that we are commanded to have awe and reverence for them. It is truly the least we can offer. We also see further in this week's reading, Leviticus chapter 20 verse 9, which states, if anyone insults or treats with contempt either father or mother, that person shall be put to death. The way that we treat parents is of the utmost importance, life or death. And our Parsha tells us that the way we treat them is not only a matter for the home, it is a matter to be addressed in society. Only a few days ago, a leaked Supreme Court draft showed that there is a majority opinion written to overturn the Roe v. Wade decision made nearly 50 years ago, and with it, the protections for reproductive health care and privacy will disappear in much of our country. There is so much to say about this, about how many of us were afraid of this very thing happening, about how Judaism not only allows for pregnancy termination, but in some cases requires it, about how it is actually none of anybody's business why someone makes a decision about any health decision for themselves, about how hard it is to find hope in this fight. But this week, I want to highlight the questions our Torah portion begs us to answer. What does it mean to have fear and awe and reverence for parents? What does it look like to avoid contempt or insulting them? What does it look like for our society to address the ways that we treat parents. In an article entitled, "Because of Choice, I Got to Choose You," written in 2019 by Hannah Ellenson, Hannah tells the story of her pregnancy. Early in her pregnancy, there were signs of a growth on the back of what was to become the neck of the embryo. In most cases, this would have been the beginning signs of severe developmental or systemic challenges. In fact, her doctors had only seen one other case where tests led to the contrary. Her doctor took as many tests for the various diseases as she could, and Ellenson was told to prepare herself to consider terminating if the tests came back positive. Hannah Ellenson and her partner chose to wait full 2 months. The full 2 months it took for all of the results to come in, and miraculously, one by one, they came back normal. I want to read Hannah Ellenson's own powerful words to her son, who she later named Shai, a Hebrew name meaning gift. Quote, "Not all stories turn out the way ours did. I'm telling you all of this now because at the same time that you've reached this half birthday, exactly 1 year after we thought you might not have been born, politicians across the country are passing laws that could have ended your story right then and there. As we went through this nightmare, I was continually grateful to know that I could choose what to do at any point. We could make a decision, and it didn't have to be rushed. We could wait for the test results. Doctors discussed options with us. If I didn't have the medical care I did, I'm not sure what I would have done. While I'd love to think that I'd have waited for the test results, I don't know that I would have. I read that the vast majority of cases where a cystic hygroma is detected are aborted soon after the diagnosis. The whole ordeal and the care I received made me more pro-choice, not less. Shai, you were and are so wanted. I'm grateful every day that I got to choose you. I want the world where you grow up to be full of choice. As you mature, you'll have countless decisions to make. I hope that you eventually find a partner whom you love and who loves you back, and that you one day do decide to have a family. But should you find yourself in a situation that's not good for you, a partner has become pregnant by accident, or it's not the right time, or you find out that a little tiny embryo is not healthy, I want you to be able to make the decision that's right for you. Pregnancy is difficult enough as it is due to the physical and emotional challenges. I can't imagine what it would have been like to carry a baby to term if I had known they would suffer greatly during their short life. Deciding to have a baby is a huge leap of faith and one not to be taken lightly. Every person should have the opportunity to decide for themselves if and when they want to be a parent. I want every parent to experience the joy of choosing to have a child, as I have with you. I love you with all my being." End quote. For a story that many could use as an allegory for the evils of abortion, Hannah Ellenson interprets her experience differently. She wanted nothing more than to bring this life that became Shai into the world. But she did not want to bring life that was short and full of pain and suffering. She was able to wait to make a decision that was right for her and for the fetus because that became her son, because abortion was legal and because she had time to wait for the results to come back. in a time filled with fear as she waited for the results and awe as they conveyed good news. She was treated with reverence by her partner, her doctor, and by the laws that allowed her to make the choice that was wanted and also that was needed. People terminate pregnancies for countless reasons, and as I mentioned before, it is actually none of our business why they make the decision they do. That being said, because so many have bravely shared their stories with us, we must learn from them. We must take to heart that each story is different, and each pregnant person has a world of context that they take into consideration when they make health choices, including reproductive health choices. We must take to heart that just as parenthood isn't always easy, lighthearted, or comfortable, neither is the decision nor the process of ending a pregnancy. We must understand that the world is not divided into the abortion havers and the people with children, but rather there are many who have both. And we must understand that with different people and different contexts come different decisions, each of which deserves honor, awe, and reverence. When we say that we should treat mothers and parents with yera, with fear, awe, and reverence, we must extend this to include those who are making decisions about potentially bringing or not bringing life into this world. This means trusting mothers and parents when they make a decision. This means providing them with the policies and resources and time to make the most ideal decision for them. This means supporting those who pursue motherhood through birth after they leave the hospital. This means not making people feel like every few months they have no choice but to share their deeply personal and sometimes traumatic story in the hopes of keeping reproductive rights safe for others in the future. To mothers and birth parents of all genders around the country, thank you. Thank you for the love and care and fear and awe that you have dedicated to us all of these years. You deserve the honor, awe, and reverence in return that the Torah tells us you do. We love you. To those who have made the decision to not bring a life into this world, you deserve honor, awe, and reverence for this too. We love you too. While our tradition does include the commandment to be fruitful and multiply, we must fight for the right of each mother and each parent in all parts of the country to decide if and how they will choose to bring life into this world. To show our reverence for them, we can and will continue to fight, to advocate, to educate, to donate. Choosing anything else would be an insult. Kain Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will.